Okay, it's Brent from PathandTarot, and here we are. We're going to be using the PathandTarot suite of cards that is made up of 3 decks. The Tarot deck, the Playing Card deck, and the Elemental deck. They're all meant to work with each other, but they have their own separate uses. Like, you can use them individually with great effect, but when you put them all together and all the energies combined, you get a greater effect when you deal with divination and doing like readings for yourself. So this is for you if and whenever you see this. So you can take a moment to ask, like, hey, what are the things that I need to pay attention to? I always find that dealing with that type of question, that open-ended question, can really reveal some interesting things. Now, the cool thing about using more than one deck in a divination is that you get like a higher sense of definition that doesn't really come with one deck. Although the tarot system in itself is quite complex, you get more complexity the more decks you add. So that's how this works. And all the symbols harmonize with each other. So the elemental, the playing cards, they're all kind of cut from the same cloth, as as we can say, because they were designed together at the same time, but they were released individually at different times, but they were all made around the same time, so they are cut from the same cloth. Let's just draw a card. We'll see what we can get. Let's put that there. Do that, and then whoa, there we go. Okay. So this is neat because we've got like a mix of elemental energies here. We got like the Hierophant. That's like a spirit energy. It's not part of your 4 Western elements: earth, air, water, fire. So it matches with all of those anyway. Spirit matches with anything itself and all the other elements. So it's great. It's like a wild card. You can think of it like that. So you've got the King here, the King of Diamonds, or Earth, if you want to look at that, and that's a sub-element. So you always have to remember that the court cards are sub-elements. They have 2 elements, so they're unique because of that. So when you deal with the King of Diamonds, it's an authoritative divine masculine figure, an authoritative man of high status or influence. Possibly risky business, so the energy is sort of unpredictable, and that's where the fire comes from. So the fire and earth are kind of just you don't really know what's going to happen, right? Like if you're introduced a spark into a dry forest, you could potentially have a forest fire, right? So that's there's a lot of unpredictability there, so it's quite risky to even attempt to do that, right? You wouldn't want to do that and burn down a forest, but you can use that as a metaphor for how you can look at this message, right? So be careful with some of your vitality energy, and don't put it in places where it could blow things up, But then consider the message of the Hierophant, the higher level of knowledge that is attained through the servitude of the lower levels of society, the system that's in place of social structure, right? Because before the Hierophant, you've got the High Priestess, Empress, Emperor, the Magician, and then you've got the Hierophant. So there's a structure to that. The higher you go, the Hierophant represents the upholding values that are beyond the human condition, right? The spirit world. You can think of religion in a way too, that way. It's beyond all of that, so that's what the Hierophant can represent. There's a sense of teaching and wisdom in that. So how can that empower this King of Diamonds in a way? And then we have to look at the water element here, just rooted in emotion, happiness and all that, all the ups and downs that come with emotion. So there's a little bit of blue happening in the Hierophant, and that's the benefit of having all these occult colors in these tarot cards. So you can very clearly see, hey, is there any part of this element in the tarot card? Sort of. At least different shades of like emotion. Because the Hierophant has a lot of colors connected to it, because if you think of, what we said about the Hierophant, is it's like the extension of all these like societal layers. It's at the higher end of it, so it's assumed that it has the collection of everything before it, right? So like the Magician has some yellows in there, the Empress has some green, some blue happening from the High Priestess, some reds from the Emperor. So you've got this like spectrum already in there, but it's highlighting water in a sense. Maybe we can say that like the energy of the High Priestess is kind of peeking out just a little bit, and you can take that for trying to uncover the foundational groundwork of like the emotions, right? Because the High Priestess wants to guard the machinery of the spirit world. Like there's a lot of things that if you're not prepared to see, you just won't understand it. It won't make sense. It may even be scary. Like imagine going, into like a factory and seeing all this mechanical stuff to make a familiar object, like say a chunk of steel, right? It's like, oh wow, that's just like a whole lot of stuff that you just don't know about. So you got to be prepared to understand it. But that's where we end up here. So we have to kind of look at, what does this possibly volatile, authoritative, divine, masculine energy mean in the context of trying to have like a higher purpose. And I'll see you in the next tarot reading.